let's catch up on Devtoberfest from SAP. Hi, I'm Ian Thane. Welcome to another SAP Code Talk, and I'm pleased to have Thomas Young with me, manager of the Developer Advocates team at SAP. Thomas, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, Devtoberfest, we are in week 6 of Devtoberfest, and this week I think we're covering cloud APIs, we're covering VS Code extensions and Google Chrome extensions. But
yes,
for the uneducated, would you like to take a few minutes and give us the elevator pitch on the Devtoberfest idea?
Well, the origin of the idea started, we wanted to have some sort of hackathon or event as a pre-event to TechEd, right? It's very similar to like the InnoJams at the in-person event, but of course adjusting it to the fact that we are now doing an online TechEd, and anything pre-event would have to be online as well. So with that in mind, we kind of had to start from scratch, thinking how to set something like that up. But if you look at the typical InnoJam weekend pre-TechEd, it starts with some enablement content where we're bringing in some experts, brief people on some of the latest technologies, and then give them a business challenge and let them go about building that in a short time frame, and then share what they've built. So we want to do the same thing online. But taking that enablement content, you can't do it in just a couple hours and expect everybody to show up at the same time. We heard from people, we want to be able to consume the content on our own schedule, and we want to be able to ask questions but not have to join live to do it. So we set up everything around the idea that many people around the world were going to consume it in their own time zones, on their own schedules. Some people wait to the end of the week and they binge watch it all at once. Some people are watching it each day. Some people are joining live and then they get to ask questions interactively. But we're trying to cater to many different consumption models. And then we have exercises to go along with it in most weeks, and they're all designed for you to do on your own time and on the trial systems as well. So trying to make it very easy to do any of the topics that you want. And then the business challenge, instead of a sort of traditional, solve this business problem, we said that the challenge would be build something for your fellow developers and make it a bit of a celebration of developers celebrating developers, right? So think of a problem that you have in your daily developer life as an SAP developer, something that would make it better, a library, a code sample, documentation even, just some sort of sample example code. And so it doesn't have to be, the next greatest open source project, but it can be something small and compact, or you can just contribute to one of the existing open source projects that help developers. Like last week, we had some of the key participants who have already submitted, and they described their projects, and there were some famous ones like ABAP Git, and what was the Postgres implementation for the cloud application programming model. But then there were some other people who came on and said, I don't really have an idea yet, but I'm going to start a project. And somebody that wants to contribute can come in and join one of these existing projects and help them out. Like the Postgres team is looking for people to help them write unit tests. So it could be something as simple as that. So the whole idea is to really get people involved in open source in the SAP developer community, being aware of what's out there, being able to consume it, and if they feel like it, being able to contribute to it as well.
Excellent. Yeah, so we have a number of patterns there. We've got obviously the fact that anybody can come along to the enablement sessions. They don't have to be part of Devtoberfest, but they can come along, and as you say, they can consume those in their own time zones. You've also got a GitHub repo, so they can ask questions and they can open issues and sort of get those resolved. To be part of Devtoberfest, I don't want to say competition, because it's there is obviously going to be a winner. But they have to, obviously, if you want to be part of Devtoberfest, you want to be part of a team, or you have an idea, we really need you to follow the link that I'm going to put down in the description to the Devtoberfest landing site on developers.sap.com. And you have to register, because we need you to sort of make sure you've read the rules and you agree to those. But, you know, as we say, if you then don't eventually become part of it, that's fine. You're going to get some really great information and going to hang out with some really cool people like Tom and the other developer advocates. So, Tom, you've mentioned, obviously, last week we did the speed dating.
Yeah.
What are the other sessions? So weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Putting you slightly on the spot there, if you can remember.
Oh, the history of all of them. Let's see. Week 1 was workflow, going deep dive into workflow. Week 2 was cloud application programming model. Week 3 was Fiori tools. Week 4 and now I'm thinking maybe I'm off a week, that maybe I missed one. But let's see, Fiori tools, and then the HANA. We've done HANA multimodal with spatial, geospatial, and graph focus. Yeah, am I missing a week?
That was I didn't tell you that I was going to ask you this question.
No, I would have. The weeks are starting to run together after the fact. I think I hit all the major ones there, but I feel like I left out a week, and now I can't remember which one.
Well, they are on the Devtoberfest website, and you know, as Tom said, you know, these are so you can consume in your own manner. So if any of those that Tom's mentioned you haven't looked into, you can go back and look at the playlist.
Oh. I know which one I forgot.
Go on then.
Week 2 was actually ABAP. I don't know how I forgot that one.
Forget? Oh my goodness! Yeah. How can you forget that?
Yeah, and then that threw off my numbering there. So workflow, ABAP, cloud application programming model, Fiori tools, and then the HANA multimodal.
And then what we're doing this week is the cloud API and VS Code and Google Cloud.
Yeah, a little bit of miscellaneous week this week.
That's right. And so we've 6 weeks so far. How many more weeks have we got? I'm not going to ask you what the sessions are, but how many weeks have we got before we hit the build week?
Well, the build week is the last week of October. So what is that, like 4 more weeks? Now you're asking me to do math. It's too early in the morning for that. We have a couple more weeks. Actually, I do know the upcoming topic we have next week is Kima. Right. So for those interested in learning about the Kima runtime, the new managed service, or running it via the open source version. So that'd be a big week. Then we have the community week, which is, once again, kind of similar to the speed dating, but will be with a host session each day with one community member who has done something in the past for open source to give back to the community. And really talking to them about what it's like, you know, what kind of processes do you go through? What is it like as a customer or as a partner to maybe go to your employer and get approval to do these sort of things? Did they have to deal with legal? All the things that people might be asking themselves, you know, what is it like to run an open source project? We'll have some community members who have done it to share their experiences.
Right, okay.
And then we have a GitHub week. So our friends from GitHub itself, not from SAP, not from the community, but some employees of GitHub itself will come in and share some tips and tricks on using some of the more advanced features like actions and other advanced capabilities of the GitHub site, because many of the projects are being shared and hosted via GitHub.
I mean, that's great. I want to ask a quick question that may be on the lips of some of the people listening to this Code Talk. Do they need, obviously the enablement sessions are very specific in areas. Do they need to use any of those technologies in their solution or whatever they're going to build for the developer community? Or are they sort of there to also not only enable, but inspire?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more the latter. They're there to enable and inspire. You're not required to use one of the particular technologies that we've had an enablement session on, but I hope we've covered such a broad range of topics that it would be hopefully kind of hard to find a topic in the SAP developer space that hasn't been covered to some extent, but that by no means means that you have to do something specifically off of one of those enablement sessions. Someone could have a great idea in another area that we didn't cover. As long as it benefits your fellow SAP developer, it's released in open source on a public Git repository. Those are the only requirements for being considered in the contest. And of course, your fellow SAP community members are going to vote on the winner. So you want to do something that will appeal and benefit them. Otherwise, you're not going to get the votes, right?
Exactly. So one other question that just came to mind now is, so I'm somebody who's really enjoyed watching the enablement sessions. An idea comes to mind. Do I have to submit that idea to you guys first for some sort of ratification, or can I just sort of put it up to the Devtoberfest community and say, hey, who wants to join me?
Yeah, you don't have to submit the idea to us. I mean, technically, you have to submit the URL of your repo so that we can track it for judging. But that's the only submission process. There's no upfront judging. Some people have turned in repos that are empty right now because they're still working on their idea phase. Then that's fine. You know, put your idea forward, and then you could build it completely on your own. But in the spirit of open source, try to attract others, and the projects that are most accommodating to contributors, that have some instructions on how to get started contributing, are the ones that are going to get the most contributors. But yeah, it's kind of like on each team that is hosting one of these is entered to go out and recruit and get their own members, and hopefully attract people that are not just there for Devtoberfest, but will continue contributing even after Devtoberfest is over.
Excellent. Well, guys, if you haven't been inspired by that from Tom Young, I don't know what will inspire you into Devtoberfest, but as I said, the URL is going to be here below in the description, so you can go to the information. We've got the enablement sessions, and any information there you can just find in that area. Tom, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for joining me so early in your morning. I'm just so pleased you look so well. I would never look as fresh as you at 7 a.m.
No problem. Thanks for having us, and always enjoy talking about Devtoberfest.